Here we are, plot 52. It is the 2nd of July, so we're actually going to give you a good sort of rundown of what actually happened in June at plot 52. Now, it's a lovely sunny evening down at the plot, and we're going to lift up some more potatoes. The first attempt wasn't too successful. I felt as though they were too small. So we're going to pick the last of the strawberries, and we're going to give everywhere a little good weed and a good water. As lockdown for me is nearly over, I am back to work on the 4th of July. Toward the plot, we've got the strawberries that are not in the fruit cage, so there's a few left in there. And we've got the lettuces that we sort of planted just to sort of fill in, and you can see they've really sort of come up. The little gem lettuces are lovely, and the mixed variety have all come good. If you've had watched the early videos, we had problems getting the peas going. It's not a massive crop, but there'll be quite a few there. We'll open up a few of those and see what we've got in there. Now the turnips are virtually ready. I've thinned them all out, and the chard is really coming along sort of well. So we've got a really good sort of crop with the chard there, and the Brussels sprouts. They're the ones that have been in for a while. You can see all the other brassicas. We've got sort of Savoy cabbages, and we've got round cabbages, and we've got broccoli. We've still got a few Swedes left in the greenhouse, and we've also got some leeks and some cauliflower, which are going to go where the potatoes are. So let's move on down to see the potatoes. Well, actually no, I think we'll just finish off on the top. Now we've got some outdoor tomato plants growing. They were sort of spare really, left over. They're going to need a good water, but beetroots are all coming along really well there, and we've got a sweet pea, nice little sweet pea on the end. So we come down. I sort of netted the brassicas because we were getting an awful lot of butterflies. Now these last two rows, they're not ready yet. They are the main crop. But the first few rows were all virtually planted at the same time. So we've got the Jersey Royals, which are the tall ones, and then we've got the Pentland Javelin, which are the sort of lighter coloured sort of green ones. They don't really look like they've grown. When you compare the height of this International Kidney Royal Jersey Royals, they've really grown well. But the others just don't look so healthy, and I think they're actually ready to be picked. So I might clear all 3 rows. We'll certainly do half a row of each one, just to sort of give us a bit of an area where we can plant up. Now behind me here we've got the rhubarb, which there's a saying you'd never pick rhubarb after the last day of June. So the best stalks I will pick, and then that needs to be cut back, and then you put compost manure over the top, and it starts to go full circle. And you can see there were a few weeds down there, but the runner beans are flowering, they're growing really well. We've got the nasturtiums all going crazy, love a little bit of colour, and the pencilman. We've got blackberries. Not black yet, but there's plenty of them. They're all going red. You can see we've got the sweet peas at the end there. But yeah, in the structure there, we're coming up to the top. We've got a few sort of the beans at the top. Once they get to the very top, I'll sort of pinch them out so we get a little bit more sort of growth. Everything growing so quickly this time of year. Sweet corn. So we've got 2 different types of sweet corn, and we've got courgettes, got some yellow ones there, and the green ones got lots of flowers, so I have to come down here pretty regular to sort of pick those. We've got a couple of the squashes at the back, all going well, and the sunflowers are halfway up the fruit cage. I haven't picked the plums yet, but going to see what they're like. And we've got apples over there. Now the French beans are growing really well. We've got 2 different varieties. These ones are not growing so rapid, but they are a black variety, just a little bit slower. And we've got some That's an early crop. They're about a month ahead of the ones down on the small structure, wigwam. Oh, there is a sweet corn that's still in the pot, not gone in the ground. Oh, that's got to be done. So yeah, you can see you've got nasturtiums and the runner beans are all going really crazy. Might thin out the nasturtiums a little bit. I have thinned them out, but they're just going sort of really crazy. Now, get up sort of close, you can see there are a few black fly, very small. I think I sprayed them with the washing up liquid, and I think they've all been eradicated, but you do have to keep an eye on it. So we're going to the fruit cage. Quick look at the onions, just coming along, and the few carrots that I sort of planted, and everything's growing really nicely. We've got lots of black currants, loads of black currants there. They all need sort of picking, so we'll do that. And there's a few more red currants sort of left from the first lot that I picked, which I froze those, so they're all going. And it's just what's left of the few strawberries. There's a few strawberries there, and the cherries are just turning into a nice colour. You never get loads of cherries on this plant. It's only a dwarf cherry tree, but it's produces now. I am getting a few grapes on my grapevine. It's very hard to sort of see them at the moment. They're not there, and then the next minute you've got a bunch of grapes, so we'll keep an eye on those. Now this fruit tree didn't get an awful, we've got no fruit. I can't remember it really blossoming, so not 100% sure. I didn't put it in the ground until earlier this year, so that is actually not going to produce anything this year, but hopefully next year we'll get something. So we've got some early raspberries down there. They are autumn raspberries. You kind of get some early raspberries, but they're autumn, these are autumn bliss, but you do always get a few early ones. You can just see all those black currants in there. So that finishes the tour. Now to get on with the work. So we've got about a dozen potatoes out of 2 plants. Not even a dozen, to be honest. Yeah, maybe a dozen with just the tiddlers, but we've certainly got half a dozen, which is not a massive amount, but they are a decent size. So I'm going to dig the rest of this row and see what we've got, and then I'll do some penton and javelin at the other end and on this end as well. Okay, so we've dug out a couple of the plants, and let's just have a little delve in and see what we've got. So that's one plant, and we've got a reasonable amount of potatoes in the little shake. Still quite small, which is nice. Golf ball size is good for me, that's what I like. Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, we've got more than 12 there, so that's good. Now this is penton and javelin. Penton and javelin on the second row, as I say, I didn't fertilise. On this third row I did, so I'll just sort of see what we got from one plant, add up, and then we can compare. 40 potatoes there. Some of them are very small, but there's a good sort of 2 dozen really good sized sort of new potatoes. They're small, but they are really tasty when they're like that. In the end, I actually dug out 4 plants, but they were small. They were smaller, but then I didn't bury them in the ground so much, and they didn't have the fertilizer. And generally, I'd say the yield's about 50% down. So basically, I think the time you put in and the effort in planting the potatoes, a bit deeper, a bit of fertilizer, a bit of manure, earth them up a little bit more. It's certainly, you can't just leave potatoes to sort of grow on their own. I think if you nurture them on a little bit more, they are going to give you a better yield, which is what I probably thought in the first place. But it's actually nice to know But as you can see, I didn't break my back doing the second row. I just sort of quickly just dug a few holes, not that deep, just chucked the spuds in, and you can see we still got potatoes. So whatever happens, potatoes grow, but you probably do get a better yield if you take that little bit more time, planting them a bit lower. So no relevations there, just they grow whatever, but if you put a bit of effort in, you will get a few more. Well, we've got a load of black currants, a nice selection there, and what's left of the strawberries, and there's still a few more, and the black currants. And in the bag we picked a couple of lettuces in there, all very nice for the allotment for home. So we just got to cut the rest of the rhubarb, just tidy up a little bit around where we've done the potatoes. I've earthed up the 4th and the 5th row of spuds. They're the main crop ones. They'll stay in for another month, maybe even longer. Just let them totally die down. Mainly wanted to sort of clear the front area because we've got other things to plant and we need to get those in the ground really. Certainly by the middle of July all those spuds will be gone, the first 3 rows, and we'll have our second lot of brassicas ready to go. So we've got plenty of black currants on the bush, loads there, so we can get those another day, and maybe we'll pick some of those cherries and the rest of the red currants. But for now, that's over and out.